Right, so behind me, at the end of that alley, is the Chiesa di San Giacomo. It's a very nice, simple, stark, rather dark, old church. Pretty old, even for this area. 1075 AD construction began and was completed 50 years later. So it's been standing there rather, for the best part of 1,000 years, which is sorry, I had to laugh. You got a Jeep, obviously an American brand, and it's called the Rubicon. So for those who might not be aware, crossing the Rubicon was Julius Caesar's first, well, not first, but decisive move to take control of the Roman Republic. As he had many armies and he wasn't allowed to bring the armies to Rome, the Rubicon was the stated barrier. And when he did that, he demonstrated to everyone his intentions. And he said, "Alea iacta est," the die is cast. And since Julius Caesar is someone I'm going to mention when I get to the top of this fairly large hill, I just stopped and laughed at that Jeep. Anyway, right, having followed my nose fairly effectively, hiked up the hill, this bricked up door is, if you can see closely, the door to the Villa Serbelloni. So I don't quite know what I'm going to do about that. Maybe circle around. But I do think it's still in private hands, but I had read that the gardens were open. So. Okay, this is a little bit weird. So, having crested the hill at that blocked off doorway, I'm now going down the other side of the hill. I might have to go back over it. I don't know yet. But something struck me as strange. Right, so this staircase, this set of stairs down to the shore, half of it on one side has been tarmacked and then that's worn away. The other half has not been tarmacked, which is weird. I mean, this set of stairs is in far worse repair, even before tarmac, than most of the ones I've seen. But it's just weird. Very strange stuff. Anyway. Maybe because if you look again, there is a slight dip in the middle. They've been kind of set up with one slab of stone there and then another one there, presumably so that when it rains, the water runs down the center of the path. That's the only thing I can think of. Why to tarmac one side and not the other. Anyway. So, as some who know me well will be aware, boat names are a particular peeve of mine if they're stupid. For example, there is a riverboat in Prague that is called Orca. It pisses me off just saying it. Okay. This one? Dragon. you know? But behind her, there is this one here called Agrippina. That I like. That I really like. Agrippina is the feminine form, daughter of a very famous Roman called Agrippa. That I approve of, as if anyone ever needs my approval. But and I think, I can't see it perfectly, but this one here, I think that it's called Rafiki. And of course, in addition to being a really cool Lion King character, Rafiki just means friend in Kiswahili. In much the same way as Simba just means lion. Anyway, I've kind of got lost and found myself on this lovely little beach. But I am going to lose the light fairly soon, so I better get cracking. Okay, so the man I'm going to focus on really is Pliny the Younger, because for reasons I'll explain in a minute, it kind of brings me full circle on this trip. So Pliny the Younger, known as that because he had exactly the same name as his uncle, Pliny the Elder. That's how they were known. Very rich, very well-to-do, very well connected. I mean, you know, Pliny the Younger was an incredibly learned man. I know of him because I studied his letters in classical civilizations class at school. He had 2 villas, one of which was on that site there. Because he was a learned man, he thought he was being funny, he called the one on top of the hill Tragedy, and he had another smaller villa down by the shore which he called Comedy. I mean, which is lots of fun. The view from that villa is just absolutely stunning because, of course, it's west facing, and so you get the sunsets over the mountains. And his lakeside villa faced north to get that fantastic view of the Alps in between the lesser mountains either side. Anyway, Pliny the Younger had the ear of the emperor, of Trajan, as well as many other noble families of great note and importance and influence. Wasn't particularly fond of Christians, because we're talking, you know, in the 70s AD now, and he actually, in several of his letters to Trajan, to the emperor, he asked what he was supposed to do with them. So he wasn't particularly fond of them, but that's oppression for you. When I said coming full circle, what I mean by that is, in 2 very important letters that Pliny wrote, and we still have about 70 of them today, he described in incredible detail the eruption of Vesuvius in 79 AD. The reason it's hit home so hard for him is because the eruption kicked off, which of course was very surprising, despite the fact you live on the slopes of a very active volcano. His uncle, adopted father, and dearest family member rushed into Pompeii to rescue a friend and never came back. Pliny the Younger witnessed the whole thing from just a short distance away, a safe distance, but a distance away, and it must have been apocalyptic. He wrote 2 letters. One was regarding his dear uncle and the events that led up to his eventual death, and the other was describing the eruption itself in incredible detail. Volcanologists today have what they call a Plinian eruption, which is like the eruption of Vesuvius, because all the details that he wrote down were so spot on, accurate and correct. So a Plinian eruption is a genuine scientific name for the type of eruption that he witnessed and wrote down. The reason it brings it full circle for me is because I started off in Rome in January, and I started south, and Naples was my next stop. I went to Pompeii, Herculaneum, went to the summit, to the cone of Vesuvius, which was awesome. This is before I started the YouTube channel. I started the YouTube channel in San Marino, and I'd already been all the way down to Sicily and then back up by that time. I do have a few reels on Instagram if you're interested. But yeah, so the summit of Vesuvius, I went to Pompeii, Herculaneum, and then I spent a fantastic 2 weeks in Sorrento. And Sorrento has an incredible view of Vesuvius across the bay. Absolutely wonderful place. So having traveled for a year now, in this way, mostly through Italy. I have no idea how many countries, quite a few. I've been drawing myself across Europe, but I spent probably 7 or 8 months in Italy this year, and that was that was February. I went to Vesuvius and Pompeii. So yeah, Pliny the Younger was a very rich man, especially after he inherited from his uncle. I'm sure he would have preferred to still have his uncle around, but he did inherit a great deal of money, and he had villas all over the empire, including, of course, Naples, and but he spent most of his time here in tragedy up top, and who could blame him? Anyway, I am going to walk down to the ferry, see what time the ferry is, because I neglected to do that on the way up because I'm stupid, and think about getting back because the sun is going down fast.